might need a little more volume in my microphone before I get started. And I'll get the slideshow up here. So as you heard, my name is Khodi Dill, and I am an author and an anti-racist educator working in Saskatoon. And I'm here today to talk to you about Ebonics. So by a show of hands, how many people know what Ebonics is or means? Okay, nobody. Okay, wow. See, now you can go home and say that you learned something today, except for that person. Okay, good looking out, sir. So what is Ebonics? Well, it's a portmanteau. So a portmanteau is a combination of two words. Sometimes we get that with celebrity couples. Bennifer, anyone? But this is a portmanteau of the words ebony and phonics. So basically it means black sounds. And Ebonics, it's also known as African American Vernacular English, or just African American English even. And it basically encompasses the myriad ways in which black communities across North America, but even beyond, use the English language, or even sometimes other languages, to carry their identities and to carry markers of their communities within it. So, sometimes when that happens, when you hear somebody who's speaking English in a way that is different from how you're accustomed to hearing it, you might come to view it as broken, right? We've got this phrase, broken English, that's so common. Whenever someone has a really thick accent or is maybe using a little bit of their home language form or another dialect sort of at the same time as they're using English. And of course, this phrase, this term, broken English, carries with it a lot of deficit thinking, right? This idea that this person's way of communicating is somehow in disrepair or is missing something, lacking something, if you will. I don't see it that way. And I put a photo up here of the Bahamas. And yeah, this time of year, it looks nicer than ever, right? This is my home. This is Nassau, Bahamas. The only thing maybe more beautiful than the weather and the scenery in the Bahamas are the people. Beautiful, predominantly black people. And I would argue that the way that they use English is just as beautiful. So if you go to the Bahamas today, you're going to be surrounded by lots of different sounds, and one of those sounds will be English, right? Some folks ask me, what language do they speak in the Bahamas? It's English, but you might not recognize it. It might not sound perfectly familiar to you. And there's a reason for that, right? The cadence is different. A lot of the sounds are different. The pronunciation is different. Speed, volume, intonation, lots of things are different. Some phrases are different. There's a whole lot that's different about the way English sounds in the Bahamas. But that doesn't mean that it's broken, right? So one of the things that you might notice if you're in the Bahamas is that the sound that we use when we see the letters TH, you know, a th or a the, sounds different there. It might sound more like a D or a T sound. Hard ER endings are sort of gone by the wayside, right? So instead of brother, you have brother, and that might sound familiar, even for, you know, people who've heard rap music or black communities using the language outside of the Bahamas, right? Well, interestingly, you know, a lot of these markers are not a result of laziness with the language or anything like that. They're a result of blending a home language group with a new one. So if you look at the languages of West Africa, where a lot of the people in the Bahamas are descended from, they oftentimes don't contain these sounds that we're used to hearing in standard English when we use them. And so those hard ER sounds or those THs or ING endings, for example, sometimes go by the wayside. And another scholar named Jamila Lyascott has done a lot of work in this area if anyone wants to look more into it. But basically, what she would argue and what I would argue is that what you're hearing when you hear Ebonics is you're hearing a blended language, right? Not a broken one, right? So if we want to talk about standard English, you know, which you're not hearing when you're hearing Ebonics, we're really talking about something that is a standardization of language, right? It's a way that's been sort of passed down through cultural norms and through socialization and conditioning, where people are speaking more or less similar to each other in a given location, right? But anytime we're talking about standards, we're talking about standardization, we're talking about conformity, we're talking about assimilation, essentially. Right? So if we would rather hear standard English all the time, that basically means that we would rather folks assimilate. And I have a bit of a problem with that, right? I think that it's important that we can maintain our cultural continuity as we move through spaces and move through our lives. And one of the ways that we do that is by maintaining the ways that we speak. But most of us who speak another language or another language dialect or form oftentimes have to code switch, right? So when we walk from room to room, we have to adjust how we speak. We're going to change. I'm going to start using the hard ER sounds now. And for black folks who are out there, a lot of us can attest that we may have two voices. We got a black voice and a white voice. And if you're on the phone with customer service, you know the white voice is coming out, right? It gets results. And there's reasons for that, There's a standard supremacy that happens when it comes even down to language. And of course, other markers of identity as well. Things like attire, of course, skin color and everything else. But we know that when we switch codes and we switch into standard English, that's one of those ways through which we can gain acceptance or gain favor or gain proximity to different forms of privilege. And I think that's honestly unfortunate that that's the state that we are in our world. Because our language carries within it identity and community, or at least it should. And when we're forced to code switch and move out of using Ebonics, for example, we're forced to shed that sense of identity and those markers of community that we would otherwise be carrying with us. And I think that's a shame, When I'm speaking Ebonics, it means I'm comfortable, right? And so whether that means I'm around a group of people who can relate to me or identify with me, or if it means that I'm in a group of people who I know won't judge me, I can use that form of language safely and feel good about it. And I think that that's what we should encourage, because the medium is the message with this, right? When I'm speaking Ebonics, there's something intentional happening. It's that I want you to know who I am, right? I want you to know that I'm black. I want you to know that I'm not ashamed of that I'm black and that I'm proud. Or if it comes to a poem or a hip-hop song, sometimes maybe that I'm black and I'm loud. And if we can get loud for a minute right now, I'd love to share a poem with you that I wrote about this subject. Would that be okay? All right. So we got another portmanteau for you here, Blackcent, right? It's all about the black accent. Goes like this. MC Hammer was right, y'all. I can't lie. I know he might have danced funny, sounded corny, and I know them pants was a trip, but he was walking a walk, and he was talking a talk. And this a talk right here, too. Oh, shoot. I forgot a verb in that sentence. Man, I guess I better get on my repentance. I can't be seen slipping. I can't be heard spitting broken English. Even though it's this language that has broken and extinguished my own, once spoken in my home. See, my language sank in the ocean, and I can't let bygones be gone. My words have drowned, lost their air. I lost my breath, lost my cadence. And when you lose your language, well, you tend to lose your way. It's a way of life, intermingled with every word and every single concept, from conception of my culture to my dreams. That's why I'm right here trying to tell them something, but they don't know what I mean. Have you seen my language? Shoot, maybe it fell on the floor, because it's usually stepped on when I walk in the door. They hear my R's dropping and they starting to roar, but that's just my tongue reaching for the place it was before, generations before. Don't ignore, I implore. They took us from our home, but it still lives in our core. So you could mind your P's and Q's, but I'm gonna stay on my G thing. That's right, I'll speak this English how I want it, man, no matter what you saying, no matter what you claim, Wu-Tang. That's my style when I talk this. I might live in SK, but I'm the cream of the crop. It's my language. It's a swagger that's a dagger to the neck of the state. When they hear it, they just fear it, and that turn into hate. And if you buy Pac, then I know you relate. Well, yo, it's time for a break. A break from the language that confines like a prison. Our words should paint pictures in many colors like a prism. I'm tired of grayscale and black and white code switch, and they almost killed my black accent, but now I'm gonna go get it. So if you're planning on correcting me, I hope that you isn't, because no matter the occasion, my black accent has risen. I unburied it from the grave it was born in inside me. They conditioned me to try and put my blackness behind me. Stuff anything that sounded black back down my throat. Well, imagine if it felt like you were starting to choke on your own words every time that you spoke. But I could breathe now because my neck is unyoked, and now my black accent can fly with the crow. Yeah. And you know that MC Hammer was right. MC Hammer was it. Because they tried to crush my black accent, but guess what? It's too legit to quit. Thank you. Thank you very much.